that I was going to have another rant coming. I told you.
Well, let me read the article, and maybe you don't have to be jumping the gun so quickly. Maybe this will be fantastic.
Are you saying I'm a hothead? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying.
Flame on.
Like flame on. Yes, I'm sorry. Like Johnny Storm, right?
Yeah. Well, like Johnny Storm is supposed to be.
Now he says lukewarm on. I'm sorry. Anyway, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny
Mild Rain is what he is.
Yeah, Johnny. Fantastic Four's Joseph Quinn says this Johnny Storm is less callous and womanizing than before. What? As Joseph Quinn joins the
So he's pointless. He's just some random beta male kid in the background.
As Joseph Quinn joins the MCU, he has a more evolved take on his character who debuted in 1961. Remember, men in the 60s were less evolved than the modern man. The Fantastic Four First Step star recently explained how his version of Johnny Storm contrasts from previous iterations of the Human Torch as this womanizing devil-may-care guy, which he doesn't find sexy these days.
Oh,
it's not about you finding it sexy these days, or maybe it is. I don't know, depending on.
I don't know which way he swings. Yeah.
Okay. It's
Hollywood, baby.
He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes. But he's funny. Quinn told Entertainment. Yeah, that's the contrast, dude. Myself and Marvel Studio boss Kevin Feige were speaking about the previous.
Oh, there you go. There's your problem right there.
And where we are culturally. Where are we culturally? He was branded as this womanizing devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. What are we doing here, man? Previously portrayed by Chris Evans in Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer in 2007, which I'm sure will end up being the definitive versions, as well as Michael B. Jordan in the 2015 reboot. First Steps director Matt Shakman agreed with Quinn that Johnny should be more than just Sue's hothead little brother. He is really smart, Shakman said, of the character. He on that spaceship for a reason, and I think sometimes people forget that in various comic stories, he's been one of the most heroic of them, even if he's undercutting his heroism at every turn through humor. He's Sue's brother.
They're going to turn him into Wesley Crusher. That's brilliant.
We got to talk about. I would do a good old days on Wesley Crusher, but it wouldn't be good old days then. He's Sue's brother, which means they are cut from a similar cloth. The only good thing about Wesley Crusher was when Picard told him to shut up. Remember? Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah.
Premiering July 25th, the cast of Fantastic Four First Steps is rounded out by Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Susan Storm, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach as The Thing, also starring Julia Garner, John Malkovich, Natasha Lyonne, and Paul Walter Hauser. I wonder who John Malkovich is playing. I'm hearing crickets from you. You don't care?
I have no idea. No, I don't care because I won't be watching this movie.
Troy, I heard there was a fan cut of Return of the Jedi ghost scene with both Anakin and Obi-Wan. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? They might as well do take out Yoda and put in Grogu. Let's make them all younger. Yeah.
And we can have the some of the characters from the Acolyte too, and they could be there too. I think we all remember that before. Okay, you're all y'all. Why are y'all talking about this? We're talking about Fantastic Four now. Are you not excited for the?
I am not excited. Okay. I am the opposite.
Well, I'm talking to the chat. Excited. They don't seem to care, and it's disturbing me. Look at that. They're all four there. Very blue.
Yeah, and why is it that the couple in the middle look so much older than they should? Just saying.
I don't know. I mean, Vanessa Kirby, I don't know how old she is. I know I've seen her in Mission Impossible movies as a sort of a villain character. I think she was also in that Napoleon movie that came out as the his wife. Yes.
if a lot of the other problems with this movie weren't in play, I wouldn't really have a problem with her casting, but I'm at the point where I'm going to nitpick everything. Pedro Pascal is way too old, and I hate to say it because this is really what the story is supposed to be. They're supposed to work with this. She's supposed to be way too young for him. It is supposed to be like Marion and Indy. That's supposed to be the relationship that they had. And they have up-aged her to avoid that, which takes away all... Look, they want to get messagey. They want to get preachy. You need to start with something to preach about.
Vanessa Kirby will soon grace our screens as the fourth iteration of Susan Storm Richards, the Invisible Woman, in the Fantastic Four First Steps. Usually they say third time's the charm, but in this case we're going to be the fourth time's the charm. And what?
I don't know.
You had the one from the aughts. It had a sequel, but that wasn't a reboot. That was just a sequel. And then you had the Fan Four Stick where Doctor Doom was exploding people's heads. If I recall.
There was also the one that was never released. The Corman.
Oh, the Corman one. Okay, so I guess it is fourth times. Okay, so
I guess it was released eventually.
Oh, it's a pun. I'm sorry, I'm thick-headed. Usually they say third time, but in this case we're going to say bet fourth time's the charm because it's Fantastic Four. And Kirby is about to be the best live-action Sue Storm yet, and she's definitely done with her Marvel Comics research in preparation for the role, which she will reprise in Avengers Doomsday. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, not only did Kirby confirm she'd be pregnant in the upcoming Fantastic Four film, but that she'd be drawing from some of Sue's alternate personas from the comics, the villainous Malice. Here's what she had to say. Matt and I were really aware that there hasn't really been a mother with a baby in these superhero archetypes women have been getting. One of the things I love most from Sue's history is when she becomes Malice and all her dark stuff comes out. I was obsessed with that chapter of her life, so I wanted to make sure that there were tones of Malice in there with her and that she just wasn't a stereotype of a goody, sweet mother. In the classic Lee Kirby comics, Sue Storm was usually called the Invisible.
Because we can't have that, of course.
I mean, it's just Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. What do they know? Sue Storm. You know what I've
noticed?
By the
way, I think that's actually a great time to bring up the fact that there is zero family relationship between Vanessa and Jack. It's a coincidence that they're both named Kirby.
Do you think Marvel started to really go downhill once Stan Lee died? Because I don't think it's a coincidence that he passed on. I think the Captain Marvel movie came out.
I think that's a confounding factor. I don't think
it's a confounding factor. It just seems odd.
You could almost say it's a coincidence.
Fine.
I don't think that Stan Lee really had that much impact on what they did.
I think symbolically it means something. Okay.
Possibly. Yeah. You could.
He was the last of the old men that created these comics, right? So
true.
Yeah.
Right.
Stan Lee described her powers as just turning invisible, and she was often the hostage member of the group. Later writers upped her power levels, adding invisible force fields of great strength. By the 1980s, she was a mother of a kindergarten-age son, yet her codename was still Invisible Girl. The circumstances of her changing her name to Invisible Woman involved her taking on a darker personality, starting with her transformation into Malice, the Mistress of Hate. Malice first appeared in 1985's Fantastic Four 280 during writer-artist John Byrne's celebrated run, dressed in a skimpy black leather fetish outfit. That won't be in the movie. Malice was the manifestation of the dark side of Sue Richards. She was brought forth by the psycho manipulation of their enemy, the Psycho Man, and the Hate Monger.
Right. She was literally controlled. She was literally mentally assaulted by them. Yeah.
The Psycho Man and the Hate Monger, those were the villain names?
Yep. Oh, Marvel has had a long history of those kinds.
Was Mr. Murder busy and he couldn't show up to
I
the
guess.
Yeah. They unleashed their pent-up frustrations over people viewing her as the team's weak link. This caused her powers to double along with her anger. As Malice, she attacked her family until Reed Richards used sexist verbal manipulation to snap Sue out of it. At one point he says, "Shut up, Susan," and literally slaps her. It works, but you'd think the world's smartest man would have found another way to restore his wife's personality than physical violence. In the aftermath of the Malice incident, Sue Storm learned to relish her powers and not limit them anymore. That made her the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four, of course. And she also finally changed her name to Invisible Woman after this ordeal. After 25 years of the Invisible World, the Malice persona popped up a few times, but not often. Writer John Byrne clearly loved taking original female Marvel heroines and unleashing their dark sides. Along with Chris Claremont, he did this to Jean Grey in the Dark Phoenix saga in Uncanny X-Men. After Malice, he'd unleashed Scarlet Witch's dark side in Avengers West Coast, but Susan's time as Malice was not revisited as Jean and Wanda's were. The Malice personas found new fans recently as a skin for Sue and Marvel rivals. Do you know what I think? I think this was just like a progenitor of the Dark Phoenix thing.
Yeah, very likely.
Like
But it's also a character development trope that
Yeah.
that I mean, it's not just with women either. I mean, we've seen it with Superman, the Red K thing, and every hero goes through their losing control, becoming a villain for a short time, realizing how dangerous they could be, and it's usually a character growth opportunity. Wasn't Malice seen as a bad idea? I don't think it was seen as a bad idea. I think there were some elements of it that were kind of handled badly. But the overall idea of it, actually not so bad. And this is what I think is being missed in this is once again, I'm going to draw the analogy between what they're saying about Malice and the character as depicted in this upcoming film, and Zack Snyder deciding that he wanted to put the Dark Knight Returns storyline before the entire history of the relationship between Superman and Batman. Again, you are looking to a story that you like so much without being willing to do the character development that makes that story plausible, let alone a masterpiece. You want to make your feminist story points. Well, go back and actually read those stories. Yes, there were things that were sexist about Mr. Fantastic, right? And Sue very much did take a very passive, submissive role. They both developed from that. They both learned and grew. Okay, if you want to help society, learn those lessons. Maybe show those lessons being learned. Just a thought, right? And this is something you could do over the span of, say, 4 films.
I have to say, I'm not excited about any of the cast, especially when they tease John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
Which is what everybody wanted.
And keep in mind, too, part of their marketing on this is to be very clear that this Fantastic Four is taking place in an alternate timeline. This is not the same timeline as anything else that we've seen in Marvel. This is not the same universe.
It's going to be multiverse stuff.
It is not the same universe as the Avengers, anything else that we've seen. So what they're basically telling the audience is, you really don't need to see this. It's a standalone thing. You could take it or leave it. This has nothing to do with anything that came before or anything that's going to come after it. Don't worry about it.
I know a lot of people, even as superheroes, this isn't necessarily Marvel's most popular team. I used to make a joke with my Marvel friends back when I was younger. They would pick on DC, and then I would just bring up the words Fantastic Four, and that would usually shut them up. But they do have the best Marvel villain, which is Doctor Doom.
Right.
And I mean, he's an iconic...
which is exactly what everyone assumed was going to be introduced in this movie. No, they're going to introduce Galactus instead. Oh, brilliant! It's just friggin' brilliant.
Yeah, let's see. They have heroes finding new powers and abilities due to anger, being pushed harder than they used to is a great idea, but sometimes fall short in bad writing. Yeah.
That is the problem. You always want there to be character development. You always want them to learn something, maybe improve, overcome adversity. But if you have bad writing,
But the Thor and Doomsday, how does that work? We all know how it's going to work based on the casting for Doomsday. The multiverse is all going to mesh together. You're going to have Magneto and come in from the X-Men universe, and you're going to have these people coming from the Fantastic Four universe. It's all about universes colliding. That's what's going to happen in Doomsday. That's how. That's
kind
how
of people that
up.
put together this Fantastic Four are the ones that are putting together. And keep in mind, Riri Williams is going to be in there too. So this is going to be a cluster frick, and nobody is going to want to see this. This is pretty much the death knell for Marvel Comics.
When Disney tanks, will Disney learn the lesson? I thought they would have learned the lesson with Snow White. But to be fair, these movies get put in development early on, so this was basically written. I think Hollywood is going to be upchucking a lot of message movies. Disney is the worst at the message movies. They've been doing it for years now.